A somber announcement from Nebraska health officials tonight. The state reported its first pediatric flu death of the season.
Our Brenna Kiefner joins us live in the newsroom tonight. And Brenna, this news comes as flu cases in Douglas County are still high.
That's exactly right, Brian and Aaron. We don't have a lot of information about this specific case as far as how old the patient is or where they're from. But what we do know is as of January 30th, there have been 22 additional flu-related deaths in the state. And according to the CDC, 52 additional pediatric deaths across the nation. Now here in Douglas County, flu activity remains pretty high. The most recent data shows through Saturday 555 cases reported. That's up from 503 the week before. Seasonally, there have been more than 3,300 cases. To keep you and your family safe, health officials recommend avoiding contact with people who are sick, staying home if you're sick, covering your nose and mouth when you cough or sneeze, washing your hands frequently, and cleaning frequently touched surfaces. Now, certain groups do face higher risks, those being young children, adults over 65, pregnant women, and anyone with chronic conditions like asthma or diabetes. DHHS says Tamiflu can help people with the flu. The key is, though, starting treatment within 48 hours of your symptoms. Live in the newsroom, Brenna Kiefner, First Alert 6.
Brenna.